Hello fellow plant enthusiasts. So right now in this video I'm going to be making a terrarium with this. I did rinse it out and I started to put some dirt in here, but then I'm like, let me show you guys a great way to add the dirt versus start the terrarium after I've put the dirt in. So before I start, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I want to also show you guys this build I did a few weeks ago. I did post this on Facebook Marketplace, and I've had a few people interested, but so far nobody has decided to purchase it. I think because of its small size. But as you can see, this is still very happy, and I do want to trim these and stick them back in here so then this thickens out and I don't have this piece of the variegated wandering Jew against the glass. But overall, this has been a really great, successful terrarium. And I want to show you guys something. I just used soil. I did not deal with gravel and charcoal and, things like that. Most people think you have to have multiple layers and it's really like an exact science, but you don't. I mean, you see plants are potted in pots and all they have is dirt in them and they're happy. As long as you have the moisture just right, you won't have an issue. So when you make a terrarium, keep it simple. You don't need to complicate things by multiple layers. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start filling in the dirt in this terrarium. Now this is one of these terrariums with a wooden ball on top, and I got this from Hobby Lobby back in 2017 because I was down in Somerville, South Carolina to photograph the eclipse that we had, and it was in the Hobby Lobby parking lot. So while we were waiting, we popped in and I got this. And then I did coat this lightly in polyurethane because these are unfinished, and then, with moisture, not a good combination. So I have my trusty container of dirt, and what I'm going to do is put a funnel, and I probably need to clear out a few things to show you guys exactly how it's happening. Don't you guys love this Begonia foliosa? I notice it's starting to, this one you have to keep on top with watering because it doesn't like being dried out for an extended duration. So what I'm going to do is I have a zip tie because I didn't find a dowel on the fly anywhere. And I'm going to just put in a little bit of the dirt. You want to make sure you don't have long pieces. And stick the zip tie in, and you can see that it's falling down. And what's nice is it drops directly into the center, so I don't have to worry about getting way too much dirt on the sides, unless you do that, of course. And the reason is because when you get it on the side, even though you try to clean, it's just more work you have to do. So I'm getting this in here as much as I can with all these pieces, and if there's any that's too big to fit in the funnel, I'll just add it back to the potting mix. And I do have a few pieces that are a little too big. So I'll just dump that in. Add this back there. Add a little more soil. That might be a little too much in one setting. But you can see that it's working out pretty well. Let me go ahead and take the larger pieces out. So it's something that requires patience because it does take a little bit longer time to fill it up with the dirt. But terrariums do require patience in general. I think I have a large, no, that might break up in here. Okay. Now one thing you can do is start to slowly spread this as it fills up. So I think I have enough soil. I don't want it too deep, but you can see I don't have the glass caked with soil, but I do have a little bit in there. Before I continue, I'm going to put this up and clean my mess a little bit. Okay, so now I have distilled water in here, and I'm just going to squirt the edge to get it preliminarily cleaned, I mean. And you don't want to over water it to start, because you just want a little bit to be soaked so it doesn't create dust all over the place. But that's sufficient for now. And I have these choices of what to put in here. Now, my nieces graciously picked me up some moss from the yard, and I'm going to take some. I have them soaked in water just to clean off a little bit. And I'm going to just be sticking some in here and creating a little carpeted area in the foreground. Moss is a quick way to do that versus getting a carpeting plant, and I don't like this. I have pieces upside down, pieces one way, and I want to make sure they're all in the right orientation. So there we go. What's nice is with the curved tongs, you can actually pat it down a little bit. Let's see. Now here we go. This is a good piece. And if you notice, I've gone around the edge, but that area there's a little messy. I'm going to put a small piece of moss there to cover it. And if you do have gaps, no need to fret, because as the moss grows, it will take over. And moss seems to do really well in the terrarium. They like the nice humid environment. Now I have 2 rocks in here, but this one I think is a little too big to fit in there. Actually, it looks like it would fit. So maybe I'll use this if I can without breaking the glass. No, it won't fit. So I won't use it. So I'm going to continue carpeting a little bit more with moss. And let me get a little bit in the middle. Well, yeah, I'm going to put this up there. Okay. Now I do have another rock in here somewhere. Oh, there it is. This is a nice rock. It's a little pinkish in hue, which will add a nice contrast to the green, and it's nice and smooth. That will look nice sitting there near the front of the moss. And it fits. So I'm going to actually set it there. Now, I am going to put a little bit more moss around the rock before I put the background plants. There we go. I could use a little more on that side, so I'm going to put some there. Okay, lovely. Now, looking at it straight down, there's a little bare spot, and I don't really need to put anything there because it will grow and fill up over time, but I might as well. Just because that's near the, focal point. Okay, now when it comes to these trailing plants, I do want to put a piece of my Begonia foliosa, and the reason is the Begonia foliosa, for begonia, it's, you find a lot of begonias for really cheap in stores, but then this one, when you buy it off the internet, made shipping because you don't typically see them at your local gardening center, you end up spending $20 for a little plant like this, and typically these small nursery pots, the 2.5 inches, they're usually under $5. Some places will charge 20 plus, but just on generic plants that you can find elsewhere, so you have to shop around sometimes for plants. But because this is prone to drying out and dying and I don't want to kill it, if I stick it in the terrarium, then I can at least have another piece somewhere else in case this ever dies. I don't have to repurchase it. So I've been eyeing this branch here, and that's the one I'm going to take. And because this does get a little taller, I'm going to stick it in the back. And what's nice is begonias root very easily by just sticking in the soil. And that's not how I wanted it. Okay. So I'm going to stick this in with a stem in there, just a little to the side. See if I can get that out without it dropping. And it's okay if it's leaning a little bit. I have some moss I'm trying to sort through, because as it roots, it will perk up. That's one thing I've noticed with begonias, but to help it, I'm going to take a piece of moss and stick it in right behind it. Just so it looks good from the get-go. And then as it grows, and then these typically flower profusely, although mine hasn't. When I bought it, it came wilted because it wasn't packed in a way to retain moisture. So I had to revive it. So because the plant had some stress the past few weeks that I've had it, it hasn't flowered yet. So hopefully this piece will be happy and flowering. Now back here, I'm debating what I should plant. And if I want a darker leaf plant or a lighter leaf plant, the lighter might add contrast. And then this is an unusual plant. I'm not sure. They told me it was some sort of pilea. I don't really know. So I could take some of these that have grown strongly, but I feel like this is going to be more of a trailing plant. Whereas the pilea will have nice stems that you can eventually trim. And similar to the wandering Jew. So I have this piece of wandering Jew that actually has a little rooting and stuff, and it has several sprigs. So that would be a nice thick clump in there. So this is what I'm going to plant over there. And then I do want to put a little bit of moss in the back just to have it look pretty. And here is a nice piece. So I'm going to stick that in between both of these plants. And as they grow, this will, oops. See if I can get that to go up. And once these roots and they start growing, it's going to look nice back there. But I do have it too close to the glass, so I'm going to realign it and put a piece of moss behind it. And by doing so, it helps keep it away from the glass a little bit. It won't be 100%, but at least it will look better too. There we go. I feel like I could use something else, but I'm not sure what. So in the meantime, I might leave this at that. Don't want to take another cutting from the begonia, but I actually could. Take that piece. So I'm going to leave this as it is for now, and maybe in the upcoming weeks I'll figure out what plant to stick in the foreground. So You want to give it a good watering when you start, just to make sure it roots, and it does look like it's well watered. I'm just going to give it a little more just to clean off the edge. But you don't want it to be basically like a you know, like sealed with no airflow and too moist to cause it to rot. But with this ball on top, it should be fine. Then using a paper towel, I'm just going to clean the top a little bit. Oops. There we go. And wipe off any dirt and moisture on the outside. Make sure the glass is shiny. There is still a little dirt back here, so let's see if I can get it. And I can. Score. Okay. And I can place this on a nice sunny east or west facing window and let it establish. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it inspiring, please make sure you subscribe and check out my other videos for more inspirations. Happy planting and thanks for watching.